I left her." The cry, hoarse and desperate, tore through the elder's throat, but the merciless Yakutian wind swallowed it. At 94 years old, every step was an agony in the eternal snows, and he had just sealed the fate of 1,200 hungry wolves to save his blind granddaughter. Now, turning towards home, his heart stopped. The slender silhouette of a Siberian tiger bent over the fragile figure of the girl, and what he saw next froze not only his blood, but hope itself. The elder woman, at 94 years old, with her right leg barely responding to her commands, felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. The scream that tried to escape her throat remained trapped, a knot of despair and regret. She had just tricked 1,200 hungry wolves, guiding them into the deep snow trap, and now, a few meters from her home, the sight of Akemi, her blind granddaughter, under the imposing shadow of a Siberian tiger, tore at her soul. Every fiber of her being yearned to run, to throw herself between the beast and the child, but her body, betrayed by age and her stubborn leg, could barely move forward. Her eyes, accustomed to the white vastness and hidden dangers, fixed on the scene, trying to decipher the unspeakable. The tiger, a creature of wild beauty and unquestionable power, did not seem to have noticed the elder woman's presence. Its movements were slow, almost graceful, as it lowered itself over Akemi. The girl, wrapped in thick furs, was motionless, a small spot of vulnerability in the infinite white. The elder woman could see the icy vapor coming from the feline's nostrils, the yellowish gleam in its eyes, the tension in every muscle of its majestic body. A wave of nausea hit her. Had she made the most terrible mistake of her long life? Had she traded one danger for another, even more lethal? Ancestral wisdom, so proudly cultivated, now seemed a cruel joke of fate. With superhuman effort, the elder woman took a step, then another, the ice crunching under her heavy boot. Her compromised leg protested with searing pain, but she ignored it. Her love for Akemi was a fire that burned stronger than the Arctic cold, more intense than any physical pain. She raised her trembling hand as if she could ward off danger with a gesture, but her words were lost in the wind. "Akemi! Akemi!" she whispered, her voice choked. The girl, due to her blindness, could not see the threat looming over her, and due to her innocence, perhaps did not even feel the predator's warm breath. The elder woman's heart beat like a war drum, each beat a lament, a silent prayer. She watched the tiger approach even closer, its enormous, striped head now mere centimeters from the girl's face. Akemi, with her dark hair contrasting with the snow, seemed to be sleeping. Or perhaps she was just in her private world of sounds and touches, oblivious to the terror unfolding. The elder woman closed her eyes for an instant, fearing what she would see when she opened them again. The image of the tiger tearing at her granddaughter was an unbearable torment. But what she saw when she reopened her eyes defied all logic and a lifetime of experience in the Arctic. The tiger, instead of attacking, did something unexpected. Its head moved gently, and its large, damp snout touched Akemi's cold cheek. There was no growl, no aggression, only a sniff, a silent recognition. The elder woman held her breath, her heart still pounding, but now, with a hint of disbelief, the tiger remained there for a few more seconds, its presence imposing yet strangely gentle. Then, with the same silent grace with which it had appeared, the beast turned. Its golden eyes met the elder woman's for a brief instant, a deep and enigmatic gaze, before it disappeared into the white vastness, like a ghost of the snows. The elder woman staggered, her legs failing under the weight of the tension. Relief hit her like an avalanche, crushing her and, at the same time, freeing her. Akemi was unharmed, intact. The danger, that imminent and terrifying danger, had dissipated as mysteriously as it had appeared. She dragged herself to her granddaughter, falling to her knees in the snow beside her, her trembling hands feeling the girl's face, searching for any sign of harm. Akemi opened her clear eyes, empty of sight, but full of a calm that the elder woman could not understand. "Grandma?" The child's voice sounded like music in the elder woman's ears, who embraced her with all the strength she had left, warm tears streaming down her face. Marked by time and cold, the true enemy, she realized, was not the tiger, but the ravenous pack she had fought. The tiger was merely a silent spectator, an unexpected guardian in the desolate vastness of Yakutia. The elder woman, whose name was Anya, held Akemi close, feeling the warmth of her granddaughter's small body. The tears, previously of despair, were now of such profound relief that they seemed to wash her soul, flowing down the wrinkles marked by time and wind. The smell of snow and reindeer fur permeated the girl, a familiar and comforting scent that brought a sense of home. Akemi, still serene, nestled into the embrace, her head resting on her grandmother's shoulder, her small fingers clutching the fabric of her clothes. "Grandma, what was that?" "I felt something big and soft near me," Akemi asked, her childish and curious voice devoid of fear, only the purity of childhood. Anya closed her eyes for an instant, the image of the majestic tiger etched in her mind, its striped fur, its golden eyes. How to explain the inexplicable, how to describe the majesty and unexpected gentleness of a beast that, by all the logic of Yakutia, should be deadly. "Nothing, my flower," Anya murmured, her voice still choked with emotion. "Just the wind, perhaps, or a protective forest spirit that came to greet us before returning to the depths of the snow." She knew she couldn't scare Akemi with the full truth, not now, not after such a fright. The important thing was that they were safe, enveloped in the warmth of their mutual love. Anya's leg ached intensely, a searing pain that shot up her thigh, a cruel reminder of her age and the strenuous journey she had just undertaken. Every muscle protested, every joint creaked, but her heart was light. An immense weight lifted from her shoulders. She forced herself to stand, the cold snow clinging to her heavy clothes, feeling her body exhausted. "Let's go home, my love. It's too cold out here and the fire awaits us." Guiding Akemi back to the small wooden and fur cabin was a challenge that demanded every ounce of her remaining strength. Anya's stubborn leg dragged, and exhaustion threatened to fell her with every step, but Akemi's small, trusting hand in her palm was her anchor. Akemi, though blind, moved with surprising grace, her small feet finding the way, fully trusting her grandmother's hand that guided her through the snow. Her small fingers squeezed Anya's, a silent connection that transcended sight, a language of love and dependence. The silence of Yakutia, which had previously seemed oppressive and threatening, was now a balm, a blanket of peace after the storm of emotions that had swept over Anya. As they entered the cabin, the cozy warmth of the fire Anya had left burning enveloped them like an invisible embrace. The smell of wood smoke and dried herbs filled the air, bringing an immediate sense of security and home. Anya, with slow and careful movements, helped Akemi remove her heavy fur clothes, seating her on a low bench near the fireplace. Akemi stretched her hands towards the dancing warmth of the flames, a soft, contented smile on her lips. "I feel the fire, Grandma. It's good. I smell you, Grandma, and the smell of our home." Anya watched her granddaughter, her angelic face illuminated by the flickering flames. The girl was her reason for living, the flame that kept her own spirit alight, the promise of a future. Anya sat heavily on her own bench, her legs stretched out and throbbing, but the pain was now a bearable companion, almost a trophy, a mark of her victory against adversity. She thought of the wolves, the cunning of the trap, the ancestral wisdom that age had not taken from her, and then of the tiger. That encounter, so unexpected, so full of wild grace, had changed something within her. The initial fear had transformed into a deep reverence for the complexity of nature. The Arctic, was a place of relentless dangers, yes, but also of unfathomable mysteries and a beauty that defied human comprehension, revealing the interconnectedness of all lives. She took a bowl of hot broth from the fire and handed it to Akemi, who received it with both small hands, sipping the nourishing liquid with satisfaction. Anya felt an overwhelming wave of gratitude, not just for Akemi being safe, but for life itself, for the ability to fight, to protect, to love unconditionally. The village now would be safe from the wolves for a while. The immediate danger averted, but the story of the tiger, that she would keep to herself at least for now. It was a silent secret, a private miracle between her, Akemi, and the vast white immensity. Night fell over Yakutia, and Anya and Akemi's small cabin was a point of light and warmth in the icy, dark vastness. The elder woman, watching her granddaughter sleep peacefully, her chest rising and falling in a calm rhythm, felt a profound peace. Resilience, she understood, was not just about surviving, but about finding beauty and hope, even in the darkest moments, about the unbreakable connection between generations, the love that defied cold and danger. Akemi, in her blindness, saw the world in a way that Anya, with her tired eyes, was only beginning to rediscover. Life in Yakutia was a constant dance with nature, and today, nature had shown its most unexpected and miraculous face. Anya knew there would still be challenges, but the courage forged this day would prepare her for anything the dawn might bring. Anya watched Akemi, the small body nestled under the furs, her serene face illuminated by the embers of the fireplace. The image of the majestic and enigmatic Siberian tiger still burned in her mind. It was not a hungry predator like the wolves. There was something more, an intelligence, a gentleness that defied everything Anya had learned about Yakutia's wild nature. She, who had always trusted in ancestral wisdom, now questioned the foundations of her existence. The tiger was not the threat, but a silent guardian, a spirit of the snows that had chosen not to harm. The relief was still a warm wave that enveloped her, but with it came a new understanding. Yakutia, with its brutal beauty and constant dangers, was not just a battlefield. It was a place of unexpected miracles, where life and death danced in complex choreography. Akemi, in her blindness, had perhaps perceived this truth purely. "I felt something big and soft," she had said. For Akemi, the tiger had not been a threat, but a presence, a touch. Anya caressed her granddaughter's hair, feeling its fine texture. The girl was a reminder of life's fragility and its unwavering strength, capable of finding light even in darkness. Night advanced, and the distant howl of the wind was the only sound breaking the cabin's silence. Anya knew that dawn would bring the need for action. The village would need to know that the wolves had been contained. She, the elder and guardian, would have to report her journey. But how would she explain the tiger? The truth was so fantastic it could be misinterpreted, perhaps even feared. She decided that the tiger's story would be a secret, an intimate bond between her and Akemi, a treasure kept in her heart. The village needed security, hope, not more mysteries. At daybreak, a pale, cold sun peeked through the window cracks, painting the snow with shades of blue and pink. Anya, despite her aching leg and exhausted body, felt renewed energy. She lit the fire, the crackling wood filling the air. Akemi woke shortly after, stretching with a sleepy yawn. "Grandma, I'm hungry," the girl said. Anya smiled, her heart warmed. She prepared a simple gruel of dried meat and fat, the staple food for facing the cold. As Akemi ate, Anya observed the village. Chimneys were already releasing smoke, a sign that life was resuming its course. With Akemi safe and fed, Anya prepared to leave. She put on her thickest furs, her eyes fixed on the cabin's entrance. Her legs still hurt, but the pain was a reminder of her struggle, of her victory. The village awaited her. She needed to assure everyone that the danger of the wolves had passed. The responsibility weighed on her shoulders, a burden she carried with dignity and unwavering purpose. Before leaving, she knelt beside Akemi, who was playing with a small fur doll. "I'll be out for a while, my flower. Stay near the fire. I'll be back soon." Akemi nodded, a confident smile on her face. Anya opened the door, and the icy air of Yakutia enveloped her. The wind still howled, but it seemed less threatening, as if nature recognized her deed. Virgin snow stretched before her, a white and immaculate carpet to be crossed. Each step was an effort, her right leg protesting with sharp pains. The pain, however, was a reminder of her resilience, an invisible trophy of her victory. She walked to the center of the village, her body stooped by age and fatigue, but the determination in her eyes was unwavering. The marks of her trap were visible in the distance, dark craters in the snow where the wolves had fallen, a grim sight, but one of duty fulfilled. The first to notice her were the young hunters, already ready to patrol, apprehension etched on their faces. Seeing her, small and strong, emerging from the blizzard, a murmur of surprise and relief ran through the group. They ran to meet her, concerned. "Anya, are you all right?" "And Akemi?" asked Betor, the eldest of the hunters, his voice choked. Anya raised her hand, a slow but firm gesture. Her eyes, bloodshot from the cold, conveyed a calm that dispelled the tension. "We are well, Beta. Akemi is safe at home, by the fire." The news spread like a ray of sunshine. Women came out of their cabins, children peeked, and other elders approached, their wrinkled faces full of hope and gratitude. Anya felt the warmth of the community, a silent embrace of mutual relief. She took a deep breath, the icy air burning her lungs. "The wolves," she began, her voice hoarse but clear, "have been contained. They fell into the trap I set. The village is safe, for now." A collective cry of jubilation erupted, mixed with tears of relief. People hugged, clapped, and some knelt, thanking the spirits. Anya watched the scene, pride and exhaustion in her chest. Their joy was her triumph. But behind her forced smile, a secret weighed on her soul. The tiger. The image of the majestic beast, touching Akemi with unexpected gentleness, was a silent burden. How to explain such a miracle? Ancestral wisdom spoke of predators, not unexpected guardians. Her eyes met Beta's, who looked at her with admiration and respect. "You are our strength, Anya, our guardian." Bator's words, full of sincerity, made Anya feel the weight of the village's trust. She knew that the truth about the tiger could disturb the newfound peace, sow fear or misunderstanding. It was her and Akemi's secret, a story that defied logic, but reinforced the mysterious beauty of Yakutia. The girl, in her innocence, did not need to carry the burden of such an extraordinary encounter. The elder woman did not want the village to fear what it did not understand. The important thing was safety, unity. As she was led back to the cabin, supported by the hunters, Anya felt the warm hands of other women on her shoulders, a touch of solidarity that warmed more than any fire. The community was her refuge, her extended family. She had fulfilled her duty, not only as a protector, but as a link between the past and the future, between ancestral wisdom and the hope of new generations. Yakutia was a place of extremes, of relentless challenges, but also of human resilience that flourished in the most intense cold. The tiger's secret was hers, a reminder that life always held surprises, and that courage and love were the greatest weapons. Life in the village would return to its rhythm, but for Anya, something fundamental had changed. Her heart, though tired, was richer and wiser than ever. Anya, supported by the hunters, felt the comforting warmth of the cabin as she entered, a relief for her aching leg and exhausted body. Akemi, who had fallen asleep again by the fire, woke with the soft sound of the door, her small arms stretching in a lazy yawn. Anya sighed. weariness weighing on her, but her heart still vibrating with gratitude for her granddaughter's safety. She sat beside Akemi, stroking her hair, while Bator and some village women entered, bringing bowls of hot broth and extra furs. The cabin, once a solitary refuge, now filled with the soft murmur of voices and the solidarity of the community. "You need to rest, Anya," said one of the women, her voice soft and concerned, helping her settle into a makeshift bed of furs. "Akemi, my dear, are you well? Your grandmother is a hero." Akemi nestled against Anya, her small hand seeking her grandmother's. "I'm fine, Aunt Elena. I felt the fire, and Grandma came back, and I also felt something big and soft that kept me company while Grandma was away." A momentary silence hung in the cabin. Elena, who had been stroking Akemi's hair, stopped, her expression suddenly confused. Bator, who was preparing to leave, turned, his eyes narrowed in questioning. Anya felt a chill run down her spine, colder than the Yakutian wind. The secret so carefully guarded was about to be revealed by her granddaughter's innocence. She squeezed Akemi's hand, a silent warning, but the girl, oblivious to the tension, continued, her voice pure and clear. "It was very big, and it had a different smell, but it wasn't bad. It was warm and made a funny sound, like a very soft purr. I wasn't scared. I thought it was a snow spirit, Grandma, like you said." Akemi smiled, the memory of the tiger's touch still vivid in her mind. The gazes in the cabin turned to Anya, filled with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Elena exchanged a look with Bator, who now approached, his face serious. "A snow spirit, Akemi?" Bator asked, his voice cautious, his eyes fixed on Anya. "What did you feel, my little one?" Anya felt the weight of the truth on her shoulders, the pain in her leg seeming insignificant compared to the anguish that overwhelmed her. How to explain the tiger without sowing panic? How to make them believe in such an improbable miracle? She had decided to protect the village from fear, but now the truth was escaping, brought by the purest and most harmless voice. The turning point had arrived, not in a new physical threat, but in a challenge to her wisdom and the community's trust. She would have to choose, keep the secret and risk distrust, or reveal the truth and face the incomprehensible. The newfound peace in the village now seemed as fragile as ice under a winter sun. She looked at Akemi, at her granddaughter's serene face, and knew she could not lie. But how to tell a story that defied the very logic of survival in Yakutia? Anya felt doubt tighten her chest. Bator and Elena's eyes, once admiring, now held confusion and skepticism. The silence in the cabin was heavy. The pain in her leg was insignificant compared to the urgency of protecting Akemi's truth and the village's trust. She squeezed her granddaughter's hand, seeking to calm herself. Akemi, oblivious to the tension, smiled. "He was so soft, Grandma, and big. The purr felt like the earth was vibrating. It wasn't a wolf, it was different." Anya took a deep breath. She knew she couldn't back down. The truth, however fantastic, had to be told. To lie would be to betray herself, Akemi, and ancestral wisdom. "Akemi is telling the truth," Anya began. "While I was away, luring the wolves, a Siberian tiger approached the cabin. He was over Akemi." A murmur of shock. Elena put her hand to her mouth, eyes wide. Beta took a step, his disbelief deepening. "A tiger? Anya, that's impossible. Such a dangerous predator wouldn't have simply walked away." The doubt was palpable. Anya shook her head. "I saw it, Bator. He was there, majestic, imposing, and he just sniffed Akemi. Without a scratch, without a roar. He was not the danger I expected." She looked at Akemi. Akemi, in her blindness, felt the presence in a way that we, with our eyes, perhaps cannot understand. She felt a spirit, not a threat. Elena, recovering, knelt. But why Anya? Why would a tiger do that? They are hunters, solitary, dangerous. I don't know why, Elena, Anya admitted. Perhaps it's a miracle. Perhaps Yakutia, in its harshness, shows us mysteries that our ancestral wisdom has not yet deciphered. I thought the danger was the wolves, and indeed it was. But the tiger, he came and went like a ghost, an unexpected blessing. Betor, still in shock, ran his hand through his sparse beard. A hunter's logic struggled against Anya's words. He looked at Akemi, at the serenity on her face. Anya had saved the village from a pack of 1,200 wolves. That was an irrefutable fact. But a tiger that doesn't attack. That was a story that defied reality itself. We need to think about this, Anya, Betor said, his voice soft but uncertain. It's a story that makes us question everything we know. Anya nodded. Weariness returning to weigh on her. She knew acceptance would not come easily, but she had spoken Akemi's truth and her own. The village now faced a new kind of challenge. Not a physical predator, but the need to expand its understanding, to accept the inexplicable. The peace with the defeat of the wolves was tempered by a mystery that challenged the essence of life in Yakutia. The elder woman, with her aching leg and indomitable spirit, had opened a path with the courage of an unusual truth, an invitation to reflect on the interconnectedness of all lives in the Arctic. The silence in Anya's cabin was so dense that the crackling of the embers in the fireplace seemed like distant thunder. Betor's eyes, once filled with admiration, now carried a shadow of perplexity, while Eleanor, with her hands clasped over her chest, seemed to struggle to process the elder woman's words. Other women, who had entered with the hot broth, exchanged apprehensive glances, their faith in Anya tested by a story that defied the very essence of survival in Yakutia. Anya, feeling the weight of every gaze, squeezed Akemi's hand who, oblivious to the tension, continued to smile, the memory of the tiger's soft touch still vivid in her small mind. I know what you saw in my eyes, Anya began, her voice hoarse but firm. Doubt. But the truth, my children, does not always fit into our old knowledge. Akemi felt something that we, with our eyes and fears, perhaps could not feel. Betor stepped forward, his expression grave. Anya, you are our wisdom, our strength. But a tiger, they are death lurking in the snow. To say he merely sniffed the girl and left, that's like saying the sun rose in the west. He gestured with his hands, searching for words that could express his disbelief without disrespecting the elder woman. Our ancestors taught us to fear the tiger, to respect its ferocity. How can we now accept that he was a guardian? Elena, her voice choked with emotion, added, Anya, if this story spreads, the fear could be greater than the joy over the defeat of the wolves. People might question, might doubt everything we know about Yakutia, about the dangers we face. She looked at Akemi, then at Anya, a tear rolling down her cold-marked face. We don't want Akemi to be seen as different because of such a strange encounter. Anya closed her eyes for an instant, feeling the pain not only in her leg, but in her heart. The truth, however pure, was a heavy burden. She opened her eyes and fixed her gaze on Betor. What Akemi felt was a presence, not a threat. She did not see the predator, but the touch, the warmth. Perhaps the tiger felt the innocence, the vulnerability. Perhaps Yakutia has its own miracles, beyond our understanding. She paused, taking a deep breath. I do not ask you to understand, but to reflect. Life here teaches us that the unexpected is the only certainty, and that courage is not just fighting against what you see, but accepting what you feel, even if it is a mystery. Betor and Eleanor exchanged glances, confusion still present, but a hint of respect for Anya's conviction began to emerge. The elder woman had faced 1,200 wolves. Her word carried a weight that few would openly challenge, even in the face of something so inexplicable. "We need time to absorb this, Anya," Beta finally said, his voice softer. He touched the elder woman's shoulder, a gesture of support despite the uncertainty. "The village needs unity now more than ever. The story of the wolves will be the one we tell. The tiger. Well, perhaps it will be a secret that the snow will keep for us for now." Anya nodded, a subtle relief filling her chest. It was a compromise, a partial acceptance. The village needed time, and she was willing to give it. The tiger's secret for now would remain between her, Akemi, and the few who witnessed its revelation. It was a burden, yes, but also a reminder of life's inexplicable beauty, of the interconnectedness between all creatures, and of the wisdom that revealed itself in the purest hearts, like her granddaughter's. The community, though shaken, began to reorganize, to find a new balance between logic and miracle, driven by the unwavering resilience of its elder. Life in Yakutia, with its extremes, would continue to test not only the physical strength, but also the ability of its inhabitants to embrace the unknown. Anya watched the small gathering disperse, silence returning to her cabin, but a different silence, laden with unspoken thoughts. Betor and Elena had left, taking with them the burden of the truth that Akemi, in her purity, had revealed. The community, though relieved by the defeat of the wolves, now faced an enigma that nestled in the heart of its ancestral wisdom. The elder woman felt the tension in her shoulders, not from physical pain, which diminished with rest, but from the complexity of the task ahead, how to guide her people through a mystery that even she did not fully comprehend. In the days that followed, life in the village tried to resume its rhythm. The hunters, led by Betor, inspected the traps, confirming the magnitude of the averted danger. 1,200 wolves had succumbed to Anya's cunning, a feat that would be sung for generations. The wolf meat, though not preferred game, would be used to feed the sled dogs, ensuring nothing was wasted in the harsh Yakutian winter. Gratitude for the safety was palpable, but like a cold mist, the story of the tiger hung over conversations, whispered in corners, discussed with apprehensive glances. The women, bringing food and help to Anya, asked veiled questions, their eyes seeking answers that the elder woman could not give. "Are the snow spirits sending us a sign, Anya?" one of them asked, as she helped mend a worn fur. Anya merely shook her head, her eyes fixed on the dancing flames. "Perhaps, my child, perhaps Yakutia holds more secrets than we imagine." She knew that doubt was a slow poison, capable of corroding trust and sowing fear in hearts already hardened by the cold. Akemi, oblivious to the complexity of adults, continued to speak of the soft spirit that had visited her. For her, there was no contradiction, only a gentle presence in her darkness. Anya listened to her, her heart heavy, realizing that her granddaughter's innocence was at once a blessing and a challenge. Akemi's truth was simple and pure, but the adult's truth was entangled in ancient beliefs and fears. Betor, a man of action and logic, visited Anya frequently. He no longer questioned the veracity of her words, but their implication for the future of the village. "If a tiger can be a guardian," he pondered one day, sitting by the fireplace, "then what else do we not know? What else awaits us in the snow that we cannot see or understand with our eyes?" His voice was a mixture of fascination and reverent fear. Anya saw in him the struggle of a mind trying to reconcile the impossible with the real. "Yakutia teaches us to survive, Bator," Anya replied, her voice soft but firm, echoing the wisdom of her 94 years. "But perhaps it also teaches us to open our hearts to what transcends survival. The tiger was not the enemy. He showed us that danger is not always what it seems, and that protection can come from where we least expect it in this icy world." She extended her wrinkled hand to the fire, feeling the familiar warmth. The real challenge now is not to fight against the wolves, but against the fear of the unknown in our hearts and minds. The village needed a new narrative, one that embraced mystery without succumbing to panic. Anya, in her ancestral wisdom, understood that resilience was not just about physical strength, but about the ability to adapt the mind and spirit to new truths. She had saved the village from visible and imminent danger. Now her role was to save it from the invisible danger of incomprehension and distrust. That night, as Akimi slept soundly, nestled under warm furs, Anya looked out into the darkness beyond the window. The howling wind seemed to carry not only the biting cold, but also the voice of Yakutia, whispering ancient secrets and new truths. The elder woman, at 94 years old, felt like a bridge between two worlds, the world of logic and incessant struggle, and the world of miracle and silent acceptance. The journey to the village's understanding was just beginning, and Anya was ready to lead. With the patience of one who had seen many blizzards and the courage of one who had embraced the inexplicable. She knew that faith, like the fire in the hearth, needed to be nurtured and protected, especially when the darkness was deepest and mysteries revealed themselves. The pale, fragile sun tried to break through the curtain of grey clouds, but the cold persisted, biting the skin like 1,000 needles. In Anya's cabin, the fire crackled, offering refuge from the frost that painted the windows. Akemi, already awake, played with a piece of fur, her small fingers exploring the soft texture, oblivious to the complexity her words had sown. Anya, with her leg bandaged and her body still heavy from the effort, watched her granddaughter, a mixture of love and concern in her tired gaze. Betor, true to his promise of support, arrived with a bowl of meat broth and some medicinal herbs. His face, though less tense than the night before, still bore the mark of deep reflection. He sat in silence for a while, the warmth of the fire warming his gloved hands. "The village speaks," he began, his voice low, almost a whisper. "The victory over the wolves is celebrated, but the mystery of the tiger, it insinuates itself into minds like the fog that clings to the trees." Anya nodded, without taking her eyes off Akimi. "I know, Beta. The truth sometimes is a heavier burden than a lie, but Akemi's truth is pure. She did not see fear, she only felt the presence." She turned to Beta, her eyes, though aged, carrying an unwavering strength. "Our ancestors taught us to read the signs of nature, to respect every creature. But perhaps, in our haste to categorize danger, we have forgotten that nature is vast and unpredictable, full of mysteries that defy our understanding." Bator frowned, his hunter's mind struggling against the elder woman's philosophy. "But how can we protect ourselves if we don't understand the enemy? If a tiger, the most feared, can be something else?" He gestured with his hands, searching for a way to articulate his confusion. Children might approach a tiger, thinking it's a gentle spirit. Anya reached out and touched Betor's arm, a gesture that conveyed calm and wisdom. "No, Betor. Akimi is blind. She feels the world in a way that we cannot. Her perception is different. We cannot confuse an isolated miracle with a change in a predator's nature. The tiger is still dangerous to those who see it with the eyes of fear and logic. For Akimi, in that moment, he was something else. It is our perception that needs to expand, not the tiger's nature that changed." She paused, allowing her words to settle. "We need to teach children to respect the tiger, yes, but also to respect the mysteries of Yakutia. Courage is not just fighting, but also accepting that there are forces greater than us, that life offers us unexpected lessons. The story of the wolves is the story of our strength. The story of the tiger is the story of our humility before the unknown." Bator looked at Anya, then at Akemi, a new understanding beginning to dawn in his eyes. The elder woman was not denying the tiger's danger. She was asking for a new way of seeing the world, one that embraced the complexity of life in the Arctic. He stood up, his posture more erect. "You are right, Anya. Yakutia always challenges us. Perhaps this is just another of its challenges. But for our minds, not for our bodies." He gave a slight nod, a silent promise of support and understanding. In the days that followed, Anya, even with her legs still aching, began to weave this new narrative. She spoke with the women about the interconnectedness of all lives, about the wisdom found in accepting what cannot be explained. With the hunters, she reinforced the importance of vigilance and respect for nature, but also the need to keep an open mind to the signs the icy world sent them. The village slowly began to absorb the lesson. The fear of the tiger did not disappear, but was tempered by a new sense of reverence and admiration for life's mysteries. The story of Anya and Akemi became a reminder that, in Yakutia, resilience was not just about surviving, but about evolving, about finding strength in unity and the ability to embrace the inexplicable, becoming wiser and more connected. Still, the shadow of doubt persisted in some hearts, a whisper of skepticism that threatened the fragile peace. During the great victory feast, organized to celebrate the defeat of the wolves and Anya's bravery, the bonfire crackled in the center of the village, illuminating faces marked by cold and hope. Children ran, laughter echoed, and roasted reindeer meat filled the air with a comforting aroma. Akemi, sitting beside Anya, ate a piece of tender meat, her ears attentive to the sounds around her. It was then that a boy, curious and brave, approached. "Akemi," he asked, his childish voice filled with admiration, "is it true that a snow spirit visited you, one that purred like the earth?" A sudden silence fell over the bonfire. The laughter ceased. Gazes turned to Anya and Akemi. The feast for an instant stopped. Bator and Elena approached, their faces serious, knowing that this was the moment of final truth. Akemi, oblivious to the tension, smiled. "Yes, he was big and soft, and he didn't hurt me. He kept me company." Anya, feeling the weight of all eyes on her, slowly stood up, leaning on a staff. Her leg still hurt, but her voice was firm, resonating with the authority of her 94 years. "My children," she began, sweeping the crowd with her penetrating gaze, "Yakutia taught us to fight, to survive against the cold, against hunger, against the wolves. But today it teaches us something deeper." She paused, the village's silence almost palpable. "We saw the ferocity of 1,200 wolves. I faced them, but we also saw a tiger, the most feared predator, who chose not to attack a blind and vulnerable child." She pointed to Akemi, who, sensing the focus, grasped her grandmother's hand. Akemi did not see the danger with her eyes, but felt the presence with her heart. And the tiger perhaps felt the purity of her soul. We cannot ignore this miracle. We cannot let fear blind us to the beauty and mysteries that Yakutia offers us. Beto stepped forward, his voice grave. "Anya is right. I doubted, but her wisdom is deeper than our hunter's logic. We need to accept that nature has secrets our minds cannot comprehend. The tiger was not the enemy. He was a reminder that there is more to life than we can see." Elena, with tears in her eyes, nodded vigorously. Akemi showed us that human connection, innocence, can touch even the wildest of hearts. It is not a story of fear, but of hope. A murmur of agreement ran through the crowd. Faces, previously tense, began to soften. Some nodded, others wiped away tears. The elder woman with her aching leg had led her people not only to physical safety, but to a new frontier of understanding. That moment, under the twinkling stars of Yakutia, was the climax of her journey, The village, united, chose to embrace the inexplicable, reaffirming that resilience was not just surviving, but evolving, expanding the heart and mind to the silent miracles that the icy world could offer. The collective ascent broke the tension that hung over the village like a persistent frost, replacing it with a warmth that came not only from the bonfire, but from united hearts. Murmurs turned into lighter conversations, apprehensive glances gave way to restrained smiles and nods. Beator and Elena, their faces illuminated by the bonfire, felt a weight lifted from their shoulders. Akemi's truth, once a disturbing enigma, was now a delicate thread woven into the rich tapestry of Yakutian ancestral wisdom. The elder Anya, though exhausted, felt a profound peace. Her physical sacrifice to ward off the wolves had been merely the prelude to a greater battle, the battle to open minds and hearts, and in that moment she felt she had won. In the days that followed, life in the village did not simply return to normal, it transformed. Stories of the 1,200 wolves and Anya's cunning were told with new fervor, but now the narrative of the Siberian tiger, once whispered with dread, was shared with reverence. Children, previously curious, now saw Akemi with even greater admiration, not for her blindness, but for her ability to see what others could not. Akemi, in turn, continued to be the same joyful and curious girl, her fingers exploring the world with a sensitivity that had become a living reminder of the expanded perception Anya so advocated. She spoke of the soft spirit without fear, and her innocence disarmed any lingering skepticism. Anya, with her legs slowly recovering, spent her days teaching, not just about traps and the dangers of the snow, but about the interconnectedness of all things. She sat with the women as they mended furs and prepared food, and spoke of how a people's strength lies not only in their muscles, but in their ability to accept the inexplicable, to find beauty where they once saw only threat. With the hunters, she reinforced vigilance and respect for predators, but also encouraged them to look beyond the obvious, to listen to the whispers of the wind, and to trust their deepest instincts. Beator, now a fervent advocate of the new perspective, accompanied Anya in her conversations, his grave and respected voice adding weight to the elder woman's words. He, who had struggled against logic, was now an example of how a hunter's mind could expand to embrace mystery. The village, once divided between fear and gratitude, found a new sense of unity. The tiger's story was no longer a burden, but a gift, a lesson in humility and wonder. They learned that Yakutia, with its relentless beauty and extreme dangers, also held silent miracles, and that true resilience was the ability to face what one sees and to accept what one feels, even if it defies all logic. Human connection deepened. Concern for Akemi and Anya's well-being transformed into collective care, a recognition that the strength of one was the strength of all. Peace, a deep and lasting peace, finally settled in the village. It was not the absence of challenges, for Yakutia would always present new ones, but the presence of renewed wisdom, of an unwavering spirit that had learned to embrace the unknown. Anya, watching Akemi laugh as she played, felt her heart overflow. She had fulfilled her mission. The village was safe, not only from the wolves, but from the fear that could have paralyzed them. They had found justice not in punishment, but in understanding, and triumph not only over the threat, but over the very limitation of their perceptions. Human connection, forged in extreme cold and in the face of danger, had grown stronger, richer, wiser, and truly united. The peace Anya had so sought, deep and lasting, was not the absence of challenges, but the wisdom that flourished in Yakutia's harshest conditions. Days turned into weeks, months. The memory of the winter of the 1,200 wolves and the mysterious tiger did not fade, but became the cornerstone of a new era, a legacy of courage and acceptance passed down through generations. Akemi, with Anya's leg now healed, grew under the loving gaze of her grandmother and the village. Her steps were firm, her voice melodic. Her ability to feel the world, once a vulnerability, was now a window into Yakutia's soul. She continued to touch faces, feel the textures of snow and wood, and hear the sounds of the wind with a depth that inspired everyone. The children, once protecting her with tenderness, now saw her as a silent guide to a deeper understanding of the natural world. Anya, sitting at her cabin door on a pale, sunny day, watched life pulsate. Women worked together, laughter echoing in the cold air, sharing tasks and stories of Anya's courage and the tiger's lesson. Hunters, led by Beta, set out with a new reverence for nature. Their eyes, trained for danger, had hearts open to the tundra's mysteries. Beta, in particular, had become a pillar of wisdom, passing on to his descendants the importance of seeing beyond the obvious, trusting intuition, and honoring the interconnectedness of all lives. Justice for Anya had not been retribution, but acceptance and harmony between man and nature. Triumph was not just victory over the wolves, but the transcendence of fear and the mind's limitations. Human connection deepened in unimaginable ways, weaving a web of support and love that enveloped every soul. The village was an extended family, each member an unbreakable vital link. On a cold afternoon, with the sun setting in shades of purple and orange over the endless snow, Anya called Akemi. The girl sat on her lap, nestling into the warmth of the furs. Anya stroked her granddaughter's soft hair, feeling the beat of her small heart. "Akemi," she whispered, her voice hoarse with emotion and years, "you are proof that love and purity can touch wild hearts. You taught us to see what we could not, to feel what we had forgotten, to embrace the inexplicable." Akemi smiled, her face lighting up. "I only felt what you taught me, Grandma. There is nothing to fear when you have love, and Yakutia holds wonders for those who look with their heart." Anya closed her eyes, feeling the weight of her 94 years and the lightness of a spirit at peace. She had completed her journey. Yakutia, in its relentless beauty, would continue to challenge its people, but now they were stronger, united, wise. They had learned that resilience was not just surviving, but flourishing, embracing every mystery, every challenge, with an open heart and unwavering faith. The indomitable spirit of human resilience, forged in the cold and tempered by ancestral wisdom, would guide the village for generations. An eternal flame in the icy darkness of the Arctic, a living testament to the power of love and connection that transcends the visible. The indomitable spirit of human resilience, forged in the cold and tempered by ancestral wisdom, guided the village for generations, an eternal flame in the icy darkness of the Arctic, a living testament to the love and connection that transcends the visible. Years unfolded. Yakutia, relentless, shaped its people, but Anya's village possessed a light, a deep understanding woven into its stories and hearts. Akemi, a young woman with firm steps and a serene smile, moved with admirable confidence. Her fingers artfully explored the world, feeling the nuances of snow, the texture of furs, the warmth of faces. She became the voice of ancient songs, echoing the legends Anya had taught her about bravery and mysteries. The village children, who grew up with the story of the gentle tiger, saw Akemi as a guide to perception, following her, learning to feel the wind and the silence of the tundra with reverence. Her blindness was not a limitation, but a window into the soul of the world. Anya, nearing a century old, remained the beacon of wisdom. Her white hair, like the purest snow, framed a marked face, but her eyes, though veiled, shone with an unwavering light. Sitting at her cabin door, Wrapped in furs, she received everyone. Women sought advice, men about hunts and weather. Anya reminded them of interconnectedness, respect for nature, and trust in intuition. Her presence was a silent strength, a reminder of the depth life could reach. Betor, now a respected elder, was Anya's right-hand man, guardian of tradition and innovation. He had learned that true strength was not just hunting, but leading with compassion and embracing the unknown. His words, laden with experience and wisdom, guided the young hunters. He taught them to be vigilant and to keep their hearts open to Yakutia's unexpected signs. The village prospered, not from the absence of challenges, but from an inner resilience that allowed them to face them with a new perspective. The memory of the 1,200 wolves was proof of their united strength. The story of the tiger, a symbol of humility and the wonder of life. Family for them was the entire community, a network of support where altruism was daily practice. Justice was the restored balance between man and nature, the understanding that every being has its place. Triumph was not just overcoming a threat, but transcending fear and the mind's limitations, expanding perception. Human connection, forged in adversity, had become the unbreakable foundation, radiating warmth on the coldest days. Anya, in her final years, watched Akemi, now an adult woman, guiding the children, their laughter filling the air with hope. She knew her mission was complete. The village had not merely survived, it had flourished, transforming fear into reverence, doubt into wisdom. Yakutia would continue to challenge, but its people, with open hearts and unwavering faith, were ready. The legacy of Anya and Akemi, a story of love, courage, and the ability to see the invisible, would be told for countless generations. An eternal flame of human resilience, shining brightly in the white immensity.